So first of all, hello, and thanks for having me there. I'm so glad and grateful that I can be there and I can talk about ExMachina in front of you guys. And yeah, so let's kick this off with my presentation. And first question that we are just going to start with is why do we need to test the code? And firstly, testing the code help us to identify and fix bugs in the code. And thanks to that, developers might identify and fix some errors that later on might occur on the production side. Testing is also important in terms of code quality. By that, I mean writing tests often requires developer to think critically about their code, considering some edge cases, considering some corner scenarios, etc. And it's really essential part of the software developer development process. Another question is how should we test the code? And as stated before, tests should be mapping of the reality. By that, I mean we should try to state the reality as much as it is possible into virtual world. And what's more important, tests should be integral part of the software development process. And that means it should be run and created regularly. And yeah, and let's come to the main topic. What is ExMachina? So ExMachina is library for generating test data in Elixir applications. It provides a simple and flexible API for defining factories. We are just going to take a look at some sample factors that I've created into a few minutes. And it's really important because then we can reuse that generated test data with some values. And what's more important, ExMachina can be integrated with Ecto. However, there are a lot of variety situations, and it's not like necessary thing that we do not have to integrate it with Ecto. So yeah, ExMachina more in depth. As I stated, ExMachina is a popular Elixir library for creating and managing test data for Ecto models. It provides a simple and declarative syntax for defining factories, allowing for easy customization and extension of test data. And it's very great library because it's very powerful tool. We can use it with some other libraries that we have in Elixir. And yeah, let's go further. Okay, so there's a question, what is factory? And a little bit of theory there. Factory is a module that defines a set of default attributes and values for creating data. It helps us to create easier valuable tests for data testing. And I guess in that moment, I can go to the code that I've created recently. It's a really simple one. What I've done here, I've got two schemas. One is user and another one is company. As you can see, it's really basic one. We've got some relation between user and between company. And what I've done here is also I've added ExMachina as dependency here. So we've got it right now in the project. I've done also some kind of setups here that you are going to see just in a moment. This is one of the change that I've done, but yeah, you are just going to see more of that just in a second. And as you can see in the test directory and support, I've created the file which is called factor.ex, and it's a really simple file. As I'm using the Ecto model here, I just need to state it. If you wouldn't use the Ecto, then just you would need to use ExMachina without the Ecto annotation, and it will all work. So yeah, let's go further with that. As you can see, I have here two sections. One is for accounts factories, and another one is for organization factories. Let's stick with accounts factories for now. And as you can see, I've created 3 of them. We're just going to talk about them each by each just in a second. And let's kick this off with the user factory. As you can see, I'm using here the schema file from the user. We can have a look at it here. It's just same thing as there. It's just using a schema from the user with some default variables, default values, that is name, email, and role. And if you would go there, then you can see that I'm just using the magical keyword from the ExMachina that is called insert. And insert is a function in the ExMachina which allows us to create the testing data. And what's more, it also inserts the data into the database. So if you would like to see, I'm just going to make some IO inspector with the user and label user and copy the path, and we can test it with the line number 75. And as you can see, here I've got the user. And as you can see, I've already annotated it to the my repo, to the database. And as you can see, I'm just going to take the users from the database. And yep, the first user comes from here as the user that has been inserted by the ExMachina insert function. And as you can see right over there, it has been inserted into the database. I'm trying to state it as much as it is possible because just in the moment we are just going to compare the insert function with the build function. And yeah, we can right now talk about the thing which is really great in the ExMachina and which allows us to avoid of creating many functions. What I mean by that, if, for example, you would like to have different name here or different email here, you would need to add some dependencies here, some kind of like name, email, etc. And the thing is, we could have plenty of that functions, and it's not really great one. And with help comes the ExMachina. And here, for example, I can change the role of the user from the admin to just normal user. And as you can see, it's not more the admin, for now it's user. So it's a really beautiful thing. As you can see, I've got only 3 things annotated there. And for example, I can take also phone number, which is not stated in the user factory, and I can do some things there. And I'm just going to run the tests. And as you can see, their phone number appears. So it's really great because we can easily change the data, which is already implemented in our function. So yeah, let's go a little bit further to the build function. It kind of differs from the insert function, and you will see it just now. There's slight difference, as we can see here in the previous one when it was inserted. Then the schema metadata was loaded. However, in the case when we are just going to build a user, so I'm going to reference right now to the line number 82. Then, as you can see, it's built. So what does that mean? Is when we are just going to take the users from our database, then we'll see that no user has been inserted into the database. So it means it's the difference between the insert and build functions. Insert just inserts the data into the database. However, build function does not. So yeah, it's like slight of difference there. And let's go further to another great function, which is called user company. And as you can see, it's the same schema. It annotates to user. However, what we've got here is the association into the company, because as you can see, user can belong to the company, so it might have some associations. So in that case, I'm just going to run that test. Is going to be line 89, and oh, as you can see, we missed something, and we missed the factory for the company. So we just need to define it. Def company factory do, and right now I'm going to set it up for the schema, but not for the user schema, but for the company schema. So it's going to be meetup, organizations, and company. Yep, and I'm just going to take a look at it. Whether I'm not wrong, I'm just going to copy and paste it. Great. And as you can see in the company schema, we've got also some literally basic fields. So I'm just going to add here name, which is going to be Curiosum, and I'm just going to add some gmail.com. And let's go further and let's try it out right now. Can we create it? And yeah, it has been created. So what do we have here? So as you can see, it's loaded. So it means we've used insert function. And in the company, as you can see, we've got the reference to the company. So that function not only created the user, however, it also created the company for us, just with the usage of the build. So it's really, really great one. And the thing we just needed was the another company factory. So that's great for us. And what we can do right now, we can try to take it also from the database, and let's check it out what we would be having there. I'm just going to comment it out because it's already huge. Line 89 is great. Okay, so as we can see, we've got our user from the database. However, the company is not loaded. So let's take it from the repo dot I have forgotten the name of the function. It's going to be, we just need to take the association from the function to take it. But let's leave it like it is for now, and let's go to another really great feature that we do have in ExMachina. It's the user sequence factory. That's called the function. That's how I called it. It's already created in the factory, and it's, as you can see, it's using really great function that is called sequence. And sequence is a function in ExMachina which allow us to create different different data that thanks to it will be different, and our tests will be more valuable and more production like. But we're just going to see that in a second. So as you can see, I've got 4 users there, and each of them is using the reference to user sequence. So we are just going to build a user which is there, so Jodo, with some specific email that is going to be a sequence. So we are just going to print it out, and to print out all of the users, I'm going to use a special function in Elixir that is called binding. And we are just going to see all of the users that are there. And yeah, one number 96. And as you can see, we've got there 4 users, user 1, user 2, user 3, and user 4. and that's great. And as you can see, user number 1 has emailed Jodo, and here is 0. However, in the user factory, there were no number here. So as you can see, sequence function added there some unique number, and in that case, it's 0. For next user, it's 1, another 2, and for the last one is 3. So thanks to that, we can create the data that is going to be more production-like. That thanks to it, we can just have really great test data. And yeah, and the last function from the ExMachina that I would like to present for now is strings for string params for, and that function transforms the schema into the map of keys and values. Let's take a look at it. It's going to be line number 103. And as you can see, user was name Jodo, email, role, entity schema, and right now it's just a map with the key as a string, as the value as a string. And what's more, as you can see, we've got here a map, and in the map we can change the field in our schema that is defined here in the factory. So let's change the name and let's make it some guy. And as you can see, no more of Jodo. For now, we have some guy. So it's really great. This map is not necessary here. We can get rid of it and we can just use it like it is right there. So it's really good. It's really good for us. And yeah, so what comes to my mind right now, that there might be a question in someone's head that it's really sample and really small project that I've created there. And is it like, do we have to have there a lot of the factories, etc.? And the answer for the question is no. As you can see, I have already created another folder which is called factories, and it is inside the test. And I have already there all of the factories that are created here. And as you can see, it's a really great one because we do not have to have everything inside just one file. We can create subfiles, and then what we could do here is we can just use this factory inside that factory. And thanks to that, everything what was available there, it's still available because we are just using that macro function. And in making it is really important to define the test factories in our mix AXS, and yeah. So what's more I could state it here? I think like we could create some functionalities for the company structure. So here I have accounts tests, and here I have factories tests for organizations. So what we could do there, I'm just going to bring it back to what it was. So what we could there, we can also create some functions for the company. So we are just going to test company factory. It's really important that each function in the ExMachina has to finish with the keyword of factory. Otherwise, it's not going to work. So yeah, and let's take the company factory and just insert the company for now. And I'm just going to annotate to the organizations test file. And it's going to be line number 71. And yep, company has been created, and let's make inspect for that, and let's take a look into that company here. And yeah, as we can see, there has been created company with some default values that has been already implemented there. And what we can do here, as well as in the case of the accounts, we can also do some changes here. And let's just say I'm just going to take a field which is not annotated there. So it can be, for example, a country, and let's say it's going to be Poland. And we are just going to run this test. And yeah, we've got a country which is Poland. What we can also see is that if we would try to take data from the database, it's also inserted organizations that company and some companies. Okay. Oh yeah, little typo here, sorry. So yeah, as we might see, this company has been already inserted into our database. And what is also important is just in that scope. So it's only in the scope of that test. If you would like to have the company for each test without having to implement it everywhere on the beginning of each file, we would need to create the setup function, and in the setup function just to reuse it here. And yeah, what we can do there, we can also build some sequence factory for company sequence factory, and we are just going to build the company, and we can also annotate that our email is going to be some kind of a sequence, and we can say that that's going to be a sequence. It's going to be Curiosum, and here we're just going to annotate to the function. And yeah, as you can see, we're just using the functions that was stated before in the user sequence factory, and we are just going to take care about our email, and we are just going to take a look whether for each test case, for each new data that is going to be created, we are just going to have random and unique email. So company sequence factory do, and let's insert company number 1, insert company sequence. I'm just going to copy and paste it here, and same for all others. Is going to be company number 2, number 3, and number 4. Same as it was there. As you can see, the only difference is that we are just using different factory. So if we are going to take a look at it, companies, then we might see that every single company that we have inserted with the usage of the insert function has different email, number 3, number 2, number 1, and number 0. So thanks to that, all the data that has been created is different. So it's very good for us. It's very base example of it. The sequence function have different usage cases. This one is a really simple one, so it's up to you how would you like to use it. And yeah, so let's go back to our presentation. So we have talked about the factory. So the factory is the thing in which we just define the schema with some initial values that can be later on changed in the insert or build function, for example. And yeah, let's go further. What is insert function? As we've already stated, as the name suggests, the insert function is used to create test data, and what's more, it creates a new record in the database. Another thing is build function, which we've talked about it. So again, as the name suggests, the build function creates a structure or a map with default or assigned attributes from the factory. In contrast to insert function, it doesn't populate the data into the database. Another thing is sequence, and it's just another interesting functionality that is built in the ExMachina library. So yeah, it just allows us to generate unique attribute values for each test data. And as I shown in the example, it might be used, for example, to create unique email addresses for user or for company. And what's worth noticing, thanks to these sequences, we can ensure each test data is varied and realistic. And yeah, what's more, thank you for your attention, and thank you for being here. And yeah, thanks.
Yeah, thank you, Mateusz, for the presentation. I hope you enjoyed it. It was a great overview of ExMachina. I think this is a topic that we will be very happy to expand on sometime in the future, because ExMachina is and testing in general and preparing testing data in general is a very interesting subject that's got way more to it than just what we talked about here, what Mateusz has talked about here. Yeah, I agree with you, Claudia. This was a very insightful and clear presentation. It was so clear that there are no questions so far, but I highly encourage you to do ask some questions for the Q&A session that we would like to have right now. So yeah, so we can now proceed. So we have a question from Herbert. Let me just open it up. Okay. Great talk about the demo. Is the source code available in any GitHub repo? Question to Mateusz.
So I think like it can be like in 10 minutes time on our Curiosum GitHub. It's just after the talk, we are just going to push it, and it will be free to use.
Great. Thank you very much. And I see someone's typing, so yeah. And thank you, Yasir, for the feedback. We appreciate it. Obviously, we will share the link to the repository afterwards. Okay. Is there anyone else that would like to ask Mateusz a question about the presentation? Yeah, someone is typing. So I guess we'll give you one more while to ask Mateusz any questions about the presentation. Yeah. Okay. If there are no more questions, then I think to wrap it up, thank you very much, Mateusz, for your talk today. It's been really a great one, and I hope we'll build on this and do something similar in the future together. So that's it for today's presentation by Mateusz, and that's it in general about today's meetup. So thank you for being with us.